All right, everyone, we start off today talking about Mitch McConnell because the other day he had another absence seizure or possible mini-stroke and became unresponsive while attempting to communicate with people. This is now at least the second time that this has happened, the second time in public anyway. It could happen frequently in private. We're not exactly sure. It's not like the medical doctors that service the political elite are very forthcoming about their actual medical history. That's why you don't have more information about Joe Biden and why he falls up the stairs every other month or so. But at this point, people really need to ask the question, should Mitch McConnell be in office? Now, of course, the answer is no for political reasons for me. He's not doing his job, apparently now incapable of doing his job. He doesn't appear at times to understand what he's being told. Quite literally here, if you watch the clip, link in the description, he's oblivious to his surroundings for an extended period of time. When a person in their 80s starts showing such symptoms, it is usually a warning sign that either something terrible has happened, so they've had a stroke, their brain's been befuddled, they're getting demented, or that something is going to happen. For instance, a mini-stroke, which this looks more like an absence seizure. If you have a couple of mini-strokes, now that may not mess you up particularly. It's called an ischemic attack. But it can be a precursor to a big stroke. It can be a precursor to permanently losing most of the use of one side of your body, or having your memory knocked out. Terrible things can happen as a result of that. Mitch McConnell appears to have suffered some sort of episode prior to this and the other absence seizure he had a couple months ago, and that's leading to lingering problems. Of course, he did suffer a fall. If it was related to a stroke, they're not going to tell us. Although, personally, I think what we need to do is this. Since we do have a gerontocracy in D.C. and multiple state houses, simply impose a rule, within Congress especially, probably can't do this with the judiciary or the president, requiring full medical disclosure so that people can see exactly what medications these people are taking. Every diagnostic report should become public record, etc. If you want to, therefore, run for the Senate or something, you should sacrifice your medical privacy in so doing. I think that would be better because we would have a healthier Congress, likely a very younger Congress because, some 80-year-old who has to take libido enhancers probably is too embarrassed to run and wouldn't get elected anyway. Ha ha ha, they're on Viagra. Yeah, baby, that's a fun campaign. Bill Gates runs for Congress and his nickname is Microsoft for a reason. We should do that. We should have medical disclosure for members of Congress at the very least. If state houses want to do that for their state Congress members, governors, etc., that's fine too. Because I have a feeling that Mitch McConnell is on warfarin. I have a feeling that he's on other medications as well because I think he had a stroke. It's very evident. The man is also withering away. You'll notice, if you look at Mitch McConnell couple of years ago, he was a fairly stocky man. He was on the, not necessarily fat or anything, but he was burly. He was fairly broad-shouldered, actually. Fair amount of muscle and fat. He was a big dude. If you look at him now, he's withered away. So Yertle the Turtle has shed his shell in favor of becoming a shell of his former self, I suppose. And he does really look like Yertle the Turtle. He now has a really thin, flappy neck. He has the sort of rounded chin, the vacant expression. He basically is turning more and more into a turtle by the day. At what point are you so turtle-like you're no longer eligible to hold office because you're not classed as a human being, by the way? I'm no fan of Mitch McConnell. I'm not going to sit there and gloat about his obvious medical problems because I'm not ghoulish. I save that for special politicians like John McCain, who the 5th anniversary of his death was a few days ago. And I said, I feel so sorry for the dude. After having hundreds of thousands of people killed in the third world and singing like a songbird for the Viet Cong. Yes, very patriotic man. And sure that the astroturfers like Kinzinger continue to worship him as though he was Ronald Reagan. Mitch McConnell should not be in the Senate. He should be in hospice care at the moment. He's clearly not capable of doing his job. It's the same goddamn thing with Dianne Feinstein and a few other people within Congress. They're all going Strom Thurmond mode. He's in his 80s, and Dianne Feinstein, I think she's 90. These people are barely able to walk. By the way, I think McConnell already had problems walking because he had polio as a kid anyway, so that might explain the extra weight on his body. He can't exercise as easily when he can only shuffle around. Again, not rooting for polio or anything like that, but the man is clearly sick, and the people around him appear to be sort of corralling him. You watch this, and it happened in the other instance as well. All of a sudden, he sort of stares vacantly off into the distance. He's not responsive or monosyllabic when he does manage to respond. And people are like, Mitch, are you all right? Oh, we're going to need to take a break here. Hey, Mitch. Basically like that. I have a feeling that the aides and staffers that are working with him are pulling an extra amount of weight. Now, the problem isn't so much that he's in office, so much as his position within office. He's the leader of multiple committees. He's the Senate Minority Leader. That's a fairly important job. He's been Senate Majority Leader, I think, twice now as well. If you were some lower level representative like, Bernie Sanders prior to running for the Senate and just basically being the court jester, and you've flipped your lid and you've had a stroke and you're incapacitated mentally, it probably doesn't matter so much. Your vote is formulaic 90% of the time anyway, and it doesn't really matter, so you can just sort of write in your signature and say yay or nay for you. He is the Senate Minority Leader. Republicans, what are you doing? Why are you not forcing this dude out? Why are you not forcing him to retire? There should be goddamn protests by a bunch of MAGA flag waving Republicans on the lawn in front of the congressional offices every day to try to swap him out before he croaks with somebody who's actually capable. You wonder why the Senate's dysfunctional? You wonder why currently Congress is dysfunctional? Could it be all of the McConnells and Feinsteins in the party? No. That would be a conspiracy theory now, wouldn't it? Seriously, we need to get over the gerontocracy. You've also got a president of the United States who's in his 80s and clearly has dementia and definitely physical problems. In the best case scenario, Donald Trump will be the same age at the same time in his second term. And I'll give him a pass only because he doesn't show any signs of physical illness or mental decline. But, you are on that edge when you're getting up into your 80s where things can go bad very quickly. A stroke can hit you in the middle of the night, and your spouse wakes up next to your body and you're dead, or you're crippled, or so you're drooling all over yourself and can't even speak, and you need 6 months of rehab. You can't have somebody in an important position within Congress who needs to be in rehab for 6 months. Like, look at John Fetterman, for example, and he's not even old. He's in his I think he's like 50 or thereabouts. John Fetterman, a strongly built man, certainly he looks like Lurch. He's like 6'4" or something like that. He towers over. Yeah, he stands next to Feinstein, and it's like, it's like James and the Giant Peach mode, I suppose. And he's definitely the peach. But I mean, he can barely speak. He can understand more or less what he's being told, but he has cognitive issues. He had a massive stroke and almost died. Joe Biden may have had any of a number of health complications. Hell, Donald Trump could have had them. He's in his 70s, although he doesn't show any signs of having any cognitive or physical decline issues. In fact, he looks a little bit healthier than he did 5 years ago because he lost a shit ton of weight. That's why all the liberals are angry right now, because he's apparently at 215 instead of 280 like most of them were guessing based on age-old McDonald's era mythologies. And back when he would eat a Big Mac every day. No shit, he gained a little bit of weight. Of course, when you're in your 70s, you're allowed to have a little bit of a paunch. I mean, come on. But Mitch McConnell's going in the opposite direction. He looks like a zombie. At this point, it's a race to see who dies first, him or Dianne Feinstein. Feinstein can allegedly sometimes walk. Mitch McConnell can walk, but it's a shuffle due to his age and his former polio. And both of them have trouble understanding what they're told. Both of them have trouble speaking at times. Dianne Feinstein's like, what? Oh, where the hell am I? Oh, I'm voting right now. Which way was I supposed to vote? Mitch McConnell, meanwhile, he can't even make that utterance. He just stands there staring. Are we going to have a situation where he's on the Senate floor making a speech, like a major one, like, on the economy or something, or diplomacy, like aid to Ukraine, and all of a sudden he freezes up and totters over and dies in front of the whole bicameral legislature? I think that we might unfortunately see such things. This is the most wonky that politics have been easily at any point in my lifetime, probably in any of yours if you're in the United States. The only thing that even comes close is the chaos of 2016, and then because of the meme lording. This is way weirder than 2016 or even 2020 with the ballot printers going brrr. It was just fucking weird. Mitch McConnell should retire. Okay, you go ahead and lie to yourself. Say you've had a long, distinguished career. You've been Senate Majority Leader, Senate Minority Leader, all of this other stuff. You've shaken hands with like 5 fucking presidents. Why don't you just call it quits while you're still above ground and then go die in grace and dignity, as opposed to literally possibly becoming the first Senate leader who drops dead while attempting to address Congress? Or walking down the street and then shitting your pants in full view of the public, or something like that. Tell him to retire. Get him out of there. That's about all. Peace out.